Awesome. I can see there's a couple of folks who have joined in. I think the live stream has also started. So good evening, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Okay, we've started recording. Awesome. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Good to see some folks have begun to join. I'll start off quickly by introducing myself. I am Siddharth. I'm one of the co-founders of Comdex. Very excited to kick off our first ever hackathon and super excited to share with you guys, today, just an introduction of the hackathon and at a high level, everything that we'll be going through over the course of the next few weeks of the hackathon. Of course, later on in the presentation, I'll also be joined by my colleague Rohit, who will share some more information about the hackathon itself. This is being live streamed, so I request you guys, if you have any questions, to hold on to them till the end. And if you have them you can drop them in the chat on YouTube, or you can drop them in the chat in Zoom as well. But great, I'm happy to see so many of you have joined, and happy to see that we're able to finally kick off the first ever hackathon that we've been talking about for a long time. And it's obviously a very exciting time for us. I'll kick off by talking a bit about Comdex itself to begin with. So hopefully everyone can see my screen at this point. So first of all, welcome everyone to the Comdex Hackathon. Very excited to have you guys here. A big shout out to the folks at Dora Hacks for providing us a platform for hosting this hackathon. Do give them a follow on all of their socials. And another huge shout out to all of our community partners as well: Blockchain India, Lumos Labs, Build.so, and Web3 Punjab. Of course, over the course of the next few weeks, we'll have a lot more activities to engage and interact, and super excited to get into that. So quick introduction to Comdex. Comdex is basically a DeFi infrastructure layer for the interchain. So it's a layer one in itself that's DeFi focused, that can be utilized for creating any kind of DeFi application. And it is IBC connected. IBC stands for Inter-Blockchain Communication, which is something that we'll talk about later on in this presentation. But essentially, it's part of the Cosmos ecosystem and connected to a variety of blockchains through the IBC bridging technology. And what that unlocks is tremendous potential for interoperable DeFi. On the Comdex chain right now, we have 3 apps that are live, which is Harbor Protocol, CSwap, and Komodo. And Composite, which is our over-collateralized stablecoin that's soft-pegged to the US dollar, that's currently live on the Comdex chain. So what is DeFi? Some of you might ask. I'm assuming if you've made it this far, you're probably familiar with the concept of blockchain, with the concept of decentralized networks, but not necessarily what DeFi is. So simply to break it down for you guys, DeFi stands for decentralized finance. Essentially, it means the ability and the power to create financial products and financial instruments, but on decentralized networks. What that means is it's open for everyone. There's no middlemen, there's no intermediaries. You're able to access everything in an open source manner. There are no banks, no brokers, and no centralized entities. Everything is managed by trustless smart contracts. And this in itself is something that's revolutionary, that DeFi has started off. When you think about finance today in the way that we interact with it on our day-to-day lives, we always have intermediaries that we rely on to be able to connect to various financial instruments around the world. And even then, we find ourselves restricted in being able to actually access all of the financial instruments that we might truly want to. For example, for myself, sitting in some parts of the world, I may not be able to buy shares and stocks on the financial markets of America and vice versa. When it comes to things like forex trade, derivatives, options, there's a lot of limits and restrictions that have been created for access to such things, which only means that a certain, class of accredited investors often have access to a lot of these financial instruments. But the whole idea of DeFi is to, democratize this whole process. The idea is to let anyone who understands and knows these things with a wallet to be able to access these products on an open network where it's completely immutable, it's completely transparent, and you're able to verify at every given point that the finances and the funds you deploy into these systems are always being managed in an open and transparent manner. And that in itself is the power of DeFi. At Comdex, our mission with our DeFi infrastructure layer is to empower, firstly, builders to create a whole variety, a whole suite of DeFi applications and DeFi solutions that can work interoperably with one another to create a whole ecosystem of DeFi products that truly empower every user to have democratized access to finance. What that means is access to lending, borrowing, access to exchanges, access to forex, access to derivatives, all of that, options, futures, perpetuals, all of that on the Comdex chain. And now, how is all of that made possible? It's through the Comdex chain modules. So what are Comdex chain modules? The whole ideology in which the Comdex chain is designed is we've taken the prevailing primitives that you see over and over again in the worlds of traditional finance, in the world of decentralized finance, P2P finance, and broken them down into individual components or individual primitives, which we have then formed as modules on the Comdex chain. Essentially, what this means is utilizing the modules that you see in front of you on my screen right now, you should be able to customize, plug and play, and string them together to spin up a variety of DeFi use cases and applications for yourself, which can work interoperably, not just in the existing ecosystem of products on the Comdex chain, but the broader Cosmos ecosystem, and by extension, the interchain itself. The interchain is a fantastic term that we use in the Cosmos ecosystem, referring to the internet of blockchains in a sense, where you're able to seamlessly connect across a variety of blockchains through the technology that Cosmos has to provide. So the Comdex chain modules itself, as you can see in front of your screen, there are modules for creation of assets, creation of auctions, ability to lend assets, ability to have liquidations, where sometimes you create a borrow position where you borrow finances against your assets. That is achieved by collateralizing your asset. And that means you should be able to read the price of the asset and also be able to trigger a liquidation whenever there is a event of insolvency. Putting all of these things together in what we see prevail in traditional finance is only possible when you're able to stitch together these small transactions, which actually form the financial instruments itself. And as you can see, the existing applications that we have in the Comdex chain are utilizing all of these modules that you just saw in front of you on the screen. So a quick introduction here to each of our applications. CSwap is an IBC-enabled DEX. DEX stands for Decentralized Exchange. So much like some of you might be familiar with the concepts of something like a Binance, something like a Coinbase, what these allow you to do is trade in cryptocurrency assets and swap between them. Although how Binance and Coinbase are different from a DEX is that they're centralized exchanges, meaning you are relying on or you're putting your trust in the centralized entity for the management of the funds that you deploy there. And that entity essentially takes custody of your funds when you're using it. Whereas on a DEX, you're entirely in a trustless environment. You are trusting a smart contract, which is designed to enable swapping of assets, whether they're crypto assets or liquid staked assets, and a whole variety of them through various mechanisms, which include order book, which may include AMM, which again is something that we'll get into the depths of as we go further into this hackathon. As I mentioned, we'll have a variety of workshops throughout the course of this hackathon to keep you up to date with everything that's available on the Comdex chain and to ensure that you guys can truly learn and maximize the ability to leverage all the modules we have to build a variety of use cases. CMST, which is short for composite, is the stablecoin that powers the Comdex DeFi economy. A stablecoin, in very simple terms, is an asset that maintains parity in value to a specific asset. In this case, CMST or composite is pegged to the US dollar, which means CMST is designed to always be equal to $1 in value. The way it does this is through an over-collateralized mechanism where CMST, for every dollar of CMST that exists in the universe, there is more than $1 to ensure that the CMST is always solvent when it's out there. Harbor Protocol, as I mentioned, is the protocol in which you can mint CMST. And because it houses this mechanism to be able to collateralize an asset to create debt against it, one may utilize the Harbor Protocol code to create stablecoins that are probably pegged to different currencies. You could have them pegged to the Japanese yen, you could have them pegged to the euro, the Indian rupee, and so on. So Harbor Protocol is essentially your you can say stablecoin hub, where you can mint a variety of assets from over-collateralizing variety of interchain assets. CMST is one such asset that you can mint by collateralizing assets on Harbor Protocol, and CMST is a dollar-pegged stablecoin that powers the Comdex economy. Komodo, finally, but not the least, is a lending borrowing market. Essentially, it's a place where you as a holder of crypto assets can lend them out to earn a lending interest. or you can collateralize your lent assets to borrow another asset against it. Again, in a very simple sense, what this is allowing you to do is have a variety of exposure to different assets and different, avenues of yield or interest that you can generate on the assets that you hold. And the whole idea of these three apps working in tandem is that it serves as a base layer financial economy on the Comdex blockchain itself. And this is the entire reason why we're here for this hackathon. Essentially, what we want you guys to do is utilize these modules, utilize these apps, and spin up your own, use cases that you believe can add a value to this existing ecosystem and can build on top of it. So hence we have three different tracks that we're really excited about, which we'll be looking for, being built throughout the course of this hackathon. Of course, we'll conduct a lot of workshops at our end where we'll help you guys get educated and up to speed with everything that we have to offer. But to run you through the three tracks that we have, track one, we're looking for DeFi applications, we're looking for CMST use cases, and we're looking for NFTFi applications. So by DeFi, I mean anything that falls into the realm of decentralized finance. That could mean a new DEX, a new lending borrowing platform, a new futures platform, a new perpetuals platform, a new options platform, a new stablecoin, anything that fits into the world of DeFi that can work complementarily with the existing solutions on the Comdex chain, but also the broader DeFi ecosystem of Cosmos is something we're super excited about. CMST itself, being a stablecoin that powers the DEX and the lending borrowing platform we have, we want to build more and more use cases that utilize the CMST stablecoin as a means of payment throughout. And once again, we've just scratched the surface with the DEX, CSwap, and Komodo that we have right now. But we're excited for you guys to be able to utilize CMST as a core asset in all of the products that you built out. And they may be DeFi assets or non-DeFi applications as well. But what we're looking for is places where CMST finds itself useful. So there's a greater adoption of CMST throughout the ecosystem. And third, but not the least, within this track, we're looking for NFTFi use cases, which is a very new term for some of you who are probably listening. So let me just quickly explain what this means. Most of you would be familiar with the concept of an NFT. An NFT is basically a non-fungible token. It represents a variety of things where these tokens are essentially not interchangeable or not fungible with one another. A good example, which most of you might be familiar with, is art. We have things like Bored Ape, where we have huge celebrities spending millions of dollars to buy Bored Apes, which is essentially a unique piece of digital art that can be provably owned and transferred on a blockchain. What NFTFi truly means is creating an economy of finance around this NFT as an asset. So enabling someone to collateralize their NFT, borrow against it, lend their NFT, and to earn an interest on it is something that's, I think, relatively untapped in the crypto ecosystem as a whole. And this is something we're excited about again as well. The beauty of NFTFi itself is all of the modules that we have on the Comdex chain can actually support the creation of an NFTFi economy as well. So we highly encourage you guys to check out this track and submit your ideas, get involved, and take as much support as you can from our team. Of course, members of the team will be available for you to help you throughout the course of the hackathon. So you're encouraged to check out this track one. And if you have any use cases that you would like to discuss with us as well, feel free to reach out to us through all our avenues. Heading quickly into track two. This is, again, something that I think requires less explanation. Essentially, when you look at PvP games where you are able to earn coins or let's say stake some coins to play against battle against an opponent, and winners can transact an economy of assets and coins within the game. When you kind of break it down, it's truly just a set of DeFi transactions as well. So what we're looking for in track two is PvP-based use cases or fantasy-based use cases or gaming-based use cases, which utilize the Comdex chain module. And trust me, there are several use cases that we think that are possible. So if you have some ideas that you would like to discuss with us as well, of course, there are going to be office hours throughout the course of this hackathon, and I encourage you guys to join those and have your questions sent out to us, and we'll try and address them to the best of our abilities. But essentially, to explain to you what track two is really, we're looking for use cases that allow you to build PvP games, allow you to have an economy of assets within these games, sports-based games, fantasy-based games, even a marketplace for in-game assets is something that you could technically build with all the modules that you have available on the Comdex chain. Again, This is, I would say, a relatively new up and coming use case throughout the crypto ecosystem. And I do believe that this will strongly power a lot of the next wave of adoption that we see in this industry. And super excited to see, what the participants of this hackathon will come up with for track 2. Finally, coming to track 3, this we're talking about infrastructure and DAO tooling. This is I would say, a broader category, because there are a lot of different things that can actually, fit into this category. And essentially, the goal with each of these tracks, to clarify, is that it should have solutions that are either new, entirely novel, and that can power a lot of transactions on the Comdex chain, or can work complementary with a lot of the tools that exist on the Comdex chain. So we're looking for things like infrastructure, middleware, DAO tooling, because these are things that essentially can be built, which can be plugged into the existing set of things that we have on the Comdex chain to actually enhance the overall user experience and community experience when it comes to participating in this DeFi ecosystem. But beyond that as well, what we're looking for is tools that help onboard the next set of users into crypto, into DeFi, into Cosmos, into Comdex, and into the interchain. So we're looking at ideas for user onboardings, things like seedless wallets, things like mobile wallets, anything that you can think of that can create the rails or the path for the next wave of users to come into the ecosystem to find value in the things that are built out there, is something that's going to be very powerful. And we are very excited about this as well. And we truly look forward to your submissions in this track as well. So now that I've covered the 3 tracks that we have, I'll invite my colleague Rohit on stage to talk a bit about what we're looking at technologically, in this hackathon, what the structure of the hackathon will be like, what we'll be going through over the course of the next few weeks, and essentially what the whole hackathon structure will be. So without further ado, I invite Rohit to come up and talk to us a bit about the hackathon, but also introduce himself to the ones who are listening who probably don't know Rohit as well. So, hey, Rohit, if you can hear me, why don't you join us up on stage?
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Hello, everyone. I'm Rohit. I am a lead developer at Comdex. I mostly work on the Golang and Cosmos SDK side here. I build modules mostly. So yeah, so let's, before going more into the hackathon side, let's try to understand what Cosmos ecosystem is first. So most of you must be aware about different blockchain ecosystems, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and then there is this Cosmos ecosystem. So Cosmos ecosystem is a bit different from other blockchains because it is an open source framework that allows you to build your own blockchain with your own parameters. And everything in Cosmos ecosystem is coupled. What I mean to say is you have different layers when you're developing a blockchain protocol. So there's this consensus mechanism, then there's this state machine, and then there's a connection between the first 2 stuffs that I mentioned. That's called ABCI. So Cosmos has been created in a fashion which allows you to use different consensus mechanisms, state machines, in order to build your own blockchain, which gives you more interoperability, more freedom. And you could write your code. The code that you write could be in any language which you prefer. It's mostly in Go, Solidity, Rust, but you could use anyone that you prefer. One more good part about Cosmos SDK is that it uses a proof of stake consensus engine as of now, which is Comet BFT, which is called Comet BFT as of now. And it uses the Byzantine fault tolerance. I'll be getting more into detail in the workshops that we start from tomorrow. But on an overall high level, Cosmos ecosystem gives developer much more freedom in order to develop protocols. And one of the best part is if person 1, me, Rohit, and person 2, Siddharth, is creating a blockchain, the interactions between these 2 blockchains could be very seamless on theory and as well as practical level, on a practical level. So this is what makes Cosmos ecosystem way better than all other ecosystems as far as developer friendliness is concerned. And then I'll move on to the hackathon slides, the workshop slides. Just a minute. Yeah. So as Sid mentioned, there are 3 different tracks. The first one is DeFi, CMST, and NFTFi. The second one is gaming and fantasy, and the third one is infrastructure and DAO tooling. So as you could see, the first place and the second place is there, and then there is track 4, which is miscellaneous, where people are free to think of new different possible products or protocols to develop on the Comdex ecosystem. And in the next slide, I'll explain how the workshops would be defined. Yeah. So one of the things with Cosmos is it's relatively new and developers are yet to learn, and there is very less software, less materials out there to understand. So what we have done as a part of this hackathon is try to explain and teach how products are created. So one of the first thing is that we are creating a workshop in Go that will allow and help people to develop everything on Go, write modules on Cosmos, Comdex SDK. And the second one is where we'll be teaching how everyone could, how developers could write their code using Cosmos. Just a second, guys. Yeah, sorry for the noise. Yeah, so we'll be conducting two parallel workshops. One would be on Golang and the other one would be on Cosmos. So when we are developing on Golang, we'll be mostly creating modules and we'll be teaching how people could create modules right from the very beginning, writing Go code and then understanding how Cosmos SDK works, how the tendermint, the consensus mechanism, and then how Golang code is written on top of the Comdex SDK. We'll be going through all the parts of the development and then deploying code using Go, writing modules basically. And then in the Cosmos part, we'll be explaining how the contract would be written. Those of you who are familiar with writing Solidity contracts would be able to understand more. So using Cosmos, people could create their own contracts and deploy them on Comdex SDK. As far as development is concerned, Cosmos is relatively very easy, and the onboarding process is also very easy. And we'll be conducting workshops for both of them parallelly. So I think it would be a great thing to do and to be a part of. I think we could move on to the next slide. And one more thing that will be doing is we'll be having question and answer session so that any issues that you guys are facing while developing using Golang or Cosmos, we'll be there to help you through different office hours and through question and answers on forums and through GitHub, and you could reach us personally as well. So there would be different judging criterias, and like there are a lot more criterias mentioned than this, but one of the first major thing is what we are trying to create on top of Comdex ecosystem makes sense or not. So design and technological implementation is one of the major key, and the technical complexity, as Sid mentioned in the different tracks, it would make more sense whether the product that we're creating actually makes sense or not while developing on the Comdex ecosystem, and its potential impact on how the project would be impacting the whole ecosystem as a whole, and how it would be helping the whole Cosmos ecosystem as well. So these would be very important criteria, and of course, innovation is always important part of it. We'll be there to help you with different ideas, and there are different tracks that we've already mentioned. So these four are the judging criterias, and we'll be like explaining you a lot more in the upcoming workshops on how you could work on all these different sections as well. Next slide. So we have 4 judges as of now. One of them is Dheeraj sir. He is our vice president at Comdex. Other one is Surendra sir, and he is our lead DevOps developer. And the third one is Vishnu. He is one of the lead developers at Comdex. We have been working at Comdex for quite some time. And one of the judges is the validator from Architect Notes, and he is one of the lead part of the DevOps side. So these 4 highly knowledgeable people would be judging you guys across the hackathon. And now I'll be explaining you the timelines of the hackathon that we'll have to see. Yeah. So it would start, the hackathon would commence from tomorrow itself, and we'll be starting to take sessions on how the Cosmos ecosystem works and how Tendermint works, because these are the very basics of the development at Comdex. So in order to develop at Comdex, you'll have to first understand how things work outside Comdex. So we'll be explaining that in depth from tomorrow itself. And the workshop and the submission period would range from 20th of June till August 15, quite ample time compared to all hackathons that are conducted all across the globe. And from then, the judging would start from 16 to 25. and after that we'd be finalizing everything on 26th of August. So in total, it's quite some time to build a product from like learning everything, building it from scratch, and then submitting it. So I'm very excited for the hackathon. I think you guys are as well. And thanks a lot for being part of this session. Thanks, Siddharth. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Rohit, for sharing that. And, very excited to be kicking off this hackathon. It's our first ever hackathon. And of course, our intention and plan going forward is to, host more and more hackathons as we go forward. Try and build out more and more use case based modules that you guys can utilize to build a whole variety of products for yourself. And, ultimately, the idea is to create and kind of encourage a healthy building ecosystem. So, we encourage you guys to make full use of all of the resources that are available to you and made available to you throughout the course of this hackathon. I encourage you to join the daily 1 hour office hour sessions that we'll be having with our team as well. It'll be an opportunity for you to directly interact with our team, get your questions answered, get some mentorship, get some help, of course. And do not forget that throughout the course of this hackathon, all the sessions we conduct will be recorded and uploaded online and of course, available to everyone free. So I urge you guys to make the best of all the resources that are going to be made available to you. We're all available here to help you guys out on our Telegram channels, on our Discord, on our Twitter. So feel free to figure out ways to reach out to us. There's many. And to basically conclude today's session, I'd just like to say good luck to everyone. Happy building. Encourage you guys to also spread the word and try and get more and more folks to participate. As I mentioned, earlier, the prize pool is a total of 20,000 CMDX, 20,000 US dollars. But there is an opportunity to earn CMDX grants from the Community Dev Fund as well. The Community Dev Fund itself has been very active recently. We've been having a lot of integrations that are built out on the Comdex chain, and we're super excited for participants from this hackathon to be able to further continue their building journeys, get incentivized, get a chance to interact with the community itself. And of course, and start off on your building journey and hopefully make the best of all of the tools that will be made available to you. With that being said, we'll kick off more of our in-depth sessions on each of the products and each of the kind of modules as we go forward over the course of the next few weeks. But for today, I think we're good to conclude. We'll hang around for a few minutes to see if there's any questions that you guys might have. Feel free to drop them in the YouTube chat and on the Zoom chat. If you drop them in the Zoom chat, I'll be able to read them out myself. If you drop them in the YouTube, there's a few seconds of lag, so it might just take a minute or so for us to be able to read those. So I'm here. A few more members of our team are present in the Zoom as well. Feel free to request to join and or drop your question in the chat. I'm gonna have them answered as well. But yeah, that being said, super excited. So far, I can see there's no questions on the YouTube side of things. I'm just going to keep my eye on this space as well. We'll hang around for a couple of minutes. But if no more questions, feel free to drop them at another point when you might have them. I'd also, in the meantime, while we're here, encourage you guys to check out all of the applications that are currently there in the Comdex ecosystem, because as I mentioned a little bit earlier, a lot of the things that we're looking for in something like Track 1 would also revolve around having complementary use cases that exist, that are complementary to what already exists on the chain. So in order to truly understand what can be complementary to Harbor Protocol, to CSwap, to Komodo, I urge you guys to check it out. Check out the documentation. You can try it out on our testnet, and you can obviously get to the depths of it. And if you have any questions, reach out to one of us and we'll get them answered. In the meantime, let me just quickly see if there's any questions that we've got in. None on Zoom at the moment. Rohit, just I have my eye on the Zoom. In case there's any question on the YouTube as well, I request you to check it out. But I see none at the moment. Okay, I can see there's, okay. Can someone build something for existing Comdex tabs like permissionless front ends, include that in the miscellaneous section? Okay, actually, let me quickly explain the miscellaneous section as well. Thanks, Naresh, for bringing this up. What miscellaneous truly means is that, we anticipate that there might be a few things that are built in this hackathon that probably don't necessarily fit into any single track category that we have among the three tracks that I spoke about earlier. So it's very likely that there's a use case built that is either part of multiple tracks or part of none of the tracks, but is still a very useful use case for the Comdex ecosystem to have. Or it is also very likely that within a single track, we have more than two products built out that are worthy of, winning a prize from this hackathon. And we want to have a reserve of an additional prize pool that they can access. Hence the $2,000 set aside in the miscellaneous as well. So just to clarify, track one, first place is $4,000. For second place is $2,000. Track two, it's the same. First place 4,000 and 2,000 for second place, and so same for the third, track three, which is 6,000 spread across three tracks is 18,000, and an additional 2,000, which makes the total prize pool 20,000. That additional 2,000 is set aside for one of these miscellaneous products. Another question that I see here is, can we start with an MVP and then keep adding? 100%. There will be, as I said, several opportunities for you guys to have a touch point with the team, get your questions answered, get some assistance and guidance. So you could keep building your product, keep checking in on the team at various stages of your building cycle of the product. Of course, there will be a lot of support materials provided to you guys, and it should definitely be sufficient to help you guys build what you envision to build. And of course, we'll do our best, the best of our ability to be able to help you guys out there. Let me just quickly see the next question. Hopefully commodities in the roadmap. Yes, for those questions relating to the Comdex chain itself, of course, you can reach out to us on our community chat, and our mods will be able to help you. We recently published our roadmap as well for the year forward. So you will see that there's a lot of plans we have in place to expand the modules on the chain, to expand the assets on the chain, which will ultimately serve as more and more use cases for you guys to build out. And one of the exciting things that we're building at the backend right now is an EVM module on the chain, which will essentially allow you guys to also build smart contracts using Solidity, which work on the Comdex chain as well, which ultimately will be a central piece for us to finally realize the broader DeFi vision that we have in place, including synthetic assets, commodity synthetics. So all of these will definitely fall into place. Do check out our roadmap to have a complete overview of how the timeline for these things look, and stay tuned there. Okay, here I can see a question. Let's say I develop an asset marketplace. Is crypto-based payment system enough? This is a question from Dulberg, so I'll just repeat this, and Rohit, feel free to jump in and answer. Let's say I develop an asset marketplace. Is crypto-based payment system enough? So just to give you my take on this, of course, there will be the judging criteria that we spoke about earlier. I'll just head to that part of the deck right now. So there is a judging criteria that will be in place. There's a judging team in place. So you can definitely build these use cases and submit them, and take support from the team to build these use cases out. Whether or not that guarantees a prize is not something I can commit to you right now. What I do recommend is check out the judging criteria that's on the screen right now, and also do check out the judging criteria, which is presented in much more detail on the Dora Hacks page. So you will be able to get your questions answered there about exactly what you should be looking for and what you should be building. I think that will be a great place to go to as well. Is there any page for the hackathon which you can visit for more information? Yes, you can just head over to the Comdex Twitter account. What we'll actually do right now is we'll just pin the tweet for the registration link for the hackathon to our Comdex Twitter account, which is at Comdex Official. You can head over to that link. It'll help you register. You'll be able to find all the information that you need when it comes to the hackathon itself, the prize pools, the tracks, judging criteria, who the judges are. And yeah, not to mention, there's always our Discord and Telegram as well, where you can get to and get your questions answered. And for even without actually checking the Twitter, if you just go to dorahacks.io, you can see all of the hackathons that are currently being conducted on Dora Hacks, and one of them is the Comdex Hackathon. So I think it should be very easy to navigate to and find as well. Okay, next question is, how do Comdex make sure real world assets more liquid, reflecting to real world prices? So at the moment, going back to our modules, let me just quickly head to that slide. What you can see here is there's a variety of things that, modules that you can utilize as tools to build the products that you want. So provided there is a sufficient data feed available for the prices of real world assets that we can utilize, we'll surely be able to, help you guys build out use cases that integrate real world assets. And ultimately, the idea is that you should be able to build your own, use cases around those assets, capture them on chain, be able to read their prices and values on chain. As I said, what assets these can be is ultimately also a function of what kind of data feeds and price feeds are available out there for us to access. Okay, next question. And Rohit, if you could answer this for Kanye West Cuddy. The question is, can someone with mid-level coding experience participate in the hackathon? So Rohit, if you
Yeah, sir. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, I think mid-level experience in development would make sense to join this hackathon, because we'll be taking this hackathon from the very basics of Cosmos, Tendermint, then Comdex, and then the languages itself. So first Go, and then the Rust track, and inside the Go track we'll be going through Comdex SDK and then building out stuff. So I think having a mid-level of coding experience along with some logic building experience, and on top of it having some experience of building some products or being in a part of previous development community would help, because like in short, development is what you could think you could develop. So as far as the development is concerned, we are there to help you across all borders. We'll be explaining you, teaching you how to build stuffs, and on top of it we'll be showing you a lot of examples on how things have been done in the past, and a lot of things are already usable. These are open source stuff, so you could use most of the things that are common. What you have to focus on is what you're building and what and how unique it could be. And also I would like to add a bit more on the previous question about the prices. So we currently use the band oracle for prices. So validators from different price feeds feed the prices, and then we have this market module which actually gives the TVAP prices to our Comdex ecosystem. So as far as the real world prices are concerned, we try to be along the lines. If somehow the prices don't match, the market model and the band model has a shutdown mechanism as well to shut down for a certain period of time until the prices are backed up again according to the real world prices. So yeah, there are a lot of things that already we have developed, and you would be able to use a lot of them if you want to. And I think some experience is very good for this hackathon. So do you see any more questions?
Thanks a lot, Rohit, for answering that. No, I think that answered the question for Kanye West Curry. Yeah, I don't see any more questions at the moment. I think we can just give it maybe just 60 seconds more to make sure there's no questions at the moment. We will be pinning the hackathon tweet to our Twitter account. So if you guys have any questions about, or want more details on the hackathon, just do check out our Twitter. It's at Comdex Official. And we do have a Discord set up. We have a Telegram community chat that you can always reach out and get your questions answered. Just to reiterate, and yeah, it should be a fun process. I encourage you guys to join and think of this as a kind of an opportunity to just learn, get involved. You have the opportunity to interact with folks from our team who will be there to assist you throughout your journey. And hopefully, as things go forward, we will conduct bigger hackathons, have more materials available for you guys, and that ultimately should be a great kind of starting point for a lot of your building journeys as well. I can see one question in the Zoom was, when will the technical workshops begin? Just to go back to the schedule, they start from tomorrow. There's going to be a whole variety of different workshops that we'll be conducting. As Rohit mentioned earlier in the call, there'll be Golang and Cosmosm workshops conducted separately with demos. So feel free to check those out. Encourage your friends who probably have an interest in this to partner. To probably join and partner up with you, or participate in this hackathon, because we'd love to have more and more diversity of use cases and diversity of builders participate here. Another question I can see, which I think Rohit you could answer, is what's a good starting point for getting up and running? Before I think Rohit starts off, I think I would just recommend that you start attending the workshops that start tomorrow. We'll also be publishing materials as we go along the way, so that's a great place to start. But besides that, you can always go to comdex.one, check out our entire website. There's a whole lot of material there that can help you get an understanding of the Comdex chain itself. Our GitHub is entirely open source, so you're free to check that out as well. You can head over to docs.comdex.one to understand the Comdex chain itself at a deeper level. And for each of our apps as well, there's docs.harborprotocol.one, which is for everything Harbor Protocol related. Docs.cswap .one for everything CSWAP related, and similarly docs.komodo.one for everything Komodo related.
Yeah, and would like to just add a bit more to that question also, the previous question. So I'll be sharing a lot of documentations and videos in the first session that we'll be doing. And I think everyone would have a clear picture of how to get started and how they could proceed the development. So joining tomorrow's session would be a great thing to do for the first step, I guess.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rohit. Great. At the moment, I don't see any more questions here. Once again, thank you everyone who joined. We're super excited to kick this all off. Hopefully we'll see you guys, everyone, again tomorrow at the workshop that we'll be conducting. As I said, again, if you don't have the ability to attend it live at the time that it's happening, you can always catch it again, because it's all going to be recorded and made available to you. So yeah, good luck, happy building, and we're excited to interact more with you guys and looking forward to seeing everything that you guys are going to build for us. But until then, take care and have a great day. Bye, guys.